Webinar today entitled Quick Meals for Recovery with McGill dietetic intern Glenna Martel. Glenna will be explaining the basics of nutrition for recovery, which involves strategies for after your training and general nutrition habits that have been shown to help decrease inflammation and promote health and performance. Glenna will be preparing a teriyaki chicken and veggie bowl. Thanks so much, Glenna, for preparing this session for us, and we look forward to learning from you today.
Thank you for the introduction, and hello, everyone. I am so excited to be talking with you today about recovery nutrition. I'm hopeful that after this webinar, you'll know a bit more about what to be looking for in your post-workout nutrition and have a fun recipe that you can incorporate into your weekly meal plans. Here's a quick outline for our talk today. I'm going to start with some kitchen and food safety. I talk about what we're looking for in our post-activity nutrition. I'll go over a recipe and do a cooking demonstration for you. We'll discuss some nutrition facts and how to interpret a nutrition facts label. Then we'll finish with a cost comparison and some take-home messages. So here's a link to some poll questions that I have for you today. You can use this link to answer questions as we go along. So today I'll be doing a cooking demonstration, and I think it's important to go over some basic cooking tips to promote a safe and productive kitchen. So at-home cooking can be fun, budget-friendly, and help meet your nutrition needs. However, it is important to be aware of any dangers in the kitchen in order to practice cooking safely. Our first tip is to keep an eye on your cooking. It's important to be present in the kitchen and always be aware of what's going on. The next tip is to wear short or tight-fitting sleeves. Baggy sleeves can get in the way of your cooking or get caught on hot surfaces and can be a fire safety concern. This is similar to our tip number 3. So keeping curtains and towels away from hot surfaces. This is also a fire safety concern. And our final tip is to turn pot and pan handles inward when they're on the stove top. So this will help prevent any spills. Proper knife safety is also very important for prepping meals. Here's some tips to help make you feel smart and confident while using a knife. So first, always use a sharp knife. This will help so you don't have to put a lot of pressure on your food when you're cutting. It's also very important to cut on a very stable and knife-friendly surface. Thirdly, take your time while cutting. This really isn't a step you're going to want to rush. And it's a good idea to store your knives properly and safely. Finally, just be cautious while using a knife. Accidents do happen, but you can use these tips to help minimize any risk. Cooking fires are actually the #1 cause of at-home fires and home injuries. So the cooking tips I mentioned will help decrease that risk of fire, but I do think it's important for you to be aware of what to do in case of a fire. So if there's a fire in your oven, keep the oven door closed and turn off the heat. If there's a fire on your pan, turn off the heat and smother the fire with a lid or another pan. Don't use water to fight grease fires. So double check that you know where your fire extinguisher is before you cook. And you should be checking your smoke detectors monthly as well. And when in doubt, call 911. So just as important as cooking safety is food safety. Food safety is very important in practicing healthy food prep. So here are 4 steps outlined by fightback.org to help you keep safe in the kitchen. So the first step is clean. Wash your hands with warm water for 20 seconds. I know we're doing this often right now, but it's really important to wash your hands as well before you start cooking. You should also be washing your cutting boards, dishes, counters with warm soapy water as well. And run your fruits and vegetables running tap water. The next step is separate. So by separate, it means to keep raw foods away from any ready-to-use foods. So place meats in the bottom shelf of your fridge. This will help prevent any drippings from the meat that might contaminate other foods. You should also be using separate cutting boards for your meats than you would your veggies or bread. Cook is the third step. So we need to be cooking our foods to proper temperatures, and we need to be using a food thermometer to be sure. In the figure here, we can see that poultry needs to be cooked to 165, egg to 160, beef and pork to 145. So it's really important to be aware of what temperature your food needs. And we also want to be mindful of the danger zone. So this is the zone that bacteria can grow most rapidly. And this zone is between 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So we want to keep our food out of this zone for as long as possible. And the final step is to chill. And this means to refrigerate or freeze foods quickly after cooking. We also do not want to overstuff our fridge or freezer. In order to cool foods properly, we need circulating air. So be mindful of this when putting away your groceries. Overall, we want to remember the 2-hour rule, and that is to place food in the fridge or freezer within 2 hours of cooking. Now, the last food safety topic I want to discuss today is food hazards. And there are 4 types of food hazards that we need to be aware of when cooking. The first one is biological, and this includes bacteria, mold, yeast. The next is chemical, so that includes pesticides, cleaning agents, some food additives. And thirdly is physical hazards, so glass, packaging, dirt, all those foreign materials that can get into your food. And the final one is allergens. So allergens, there's 8 main allergens proposed by Health Canada, and that is eggs, milk, fish, shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, and soy. So you should be mindful of this when cooking for people with allergies. So here's our first poll question of the day. So we see a dish here of a whole fish, and I want to ask you, what do you think are the food hazards that are associated with this dish? So biological, chemical, physical, allergens, or all of the above. And the correct answer is E, all of the above. So this dish, like many, contains all of the potential food hazards. So biological, we can worry about any microorganisms in the fish, worry about cross-contamination. Chemical, you can worry about chemicals in the packaging or raising of fish. Physical, we're worried about fish bones because it is a whole fish. And allergens, fish was one of the common allergies that was mentioned earlier. Now we'll be getting into what we should be looking for in our post-workout nutrition. So first, it's important to understand what happens to your body during a workout so we know how we can help balance this with nutrition. Firstly, when you exercise, your body will use up all its saved energy stores to fuel your workout. Next, the exercise you perform will stress your muscles, and this causes tiny tears in your muscles. This is normal, but we do want to repair this quickly after you exercise. Finally, when you work out, this raises your body temperature. And in order to regulate this, your body releases its stored water content through sweat, and you also lose some water in your heavy breathing as well. So considering these changes, we now have 3 main goals we want to accomplish through nutrition. First, we want to replenish our energy stores. We want to replace all that lost energy so your next bout of exercise can be just as successful as the one you just completed. Next, we want to repair and grow muscle. Like I said, when we exercise, we stress our muscles and create tiny tears. And through nutrition, we can repair those tears and even allow our muscles to grow. And finally, we want to rehydrate our bodies and replace all that lost body water content. So goal number 1, replenish energy stores. Now this can be achieved through the consumption of carbohydrates. Our body stores carbohydrates in the form of glycogen. When we work out, that glycogen is broken down and used for energy to help fuel our body all the way to the end of the workout. In order to replace and replenish this energy source, we want to eat carbohydrate-rich foods after our exercise. Now, there is a specific window of opportunity here for our energy replenishment. After you work out, there's a period of time that your body is most able to utilize the carbs you eat and store it as glycogen. And this occurs within the first 60 to 90 minutes after your workout. Now, waiting over 2 hours after you exercise has been found to decrease that glycogen replenishment by 50%. So it's recommended to take advantage of this window of opportunity and eat carbs quickly after your workout. Here are some sources of carbohydrates. So we have grains here. This includes bread, rice, pasta. We have fruit, bananas, oranges, berries, and grapes. We have dairy, so yogurt and milk. And finally, I included sports drinks here because the sugar in these is a source of carbohydrates. It might not be the most nutrient-dense source, but it could be a good alternative if you're unable to consume whole foods. And this brings us to goal number 2, so repair and grow muscles. This is achieved through the consumption of protein. So the amino acids that make up your protein can be used to repair those muscle tears I spoke about earlier. Research shows that consuming protein foods quickly into what is referred to as a bolus of protein is most beneficial for muscle repair. And this is done when consuming 20 to 30 grams of protein all in one sitting. Here are some sources of protein. We have meat and fish, nuts and seeds, eggs and dairy. We have legumes and also soy. The amino acids that make up our protein are what used for muscle repair. There is one amino acid that has been found most influential on muscle repair and growth, and that is leucine. So research shows that in order to achieve optimal muscle repair and growth, we want to consume 2 to 2.5 grams of leucine after exercising. Leucine is found in meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and milk. It's also found in many different types of protein powder. So you can read your nutrition facts label of the protein powder to see how much leucine it provides. Now, to achieve our first two goals of recovery and nutrition, we now know that we need to eat carbohydrates and protein. Research has shown that consuming a meal containing both carbohydrates and protein actually increases our glycogen replenishment, so our energy stores, greater than if we were to consume carbohydrates or protein alone. Examples of this could be like the picture shown here. So we have chicken that would provide protein, and the wrap would provide carbohydrates. Here are some other examples, like a peanut butter and English muffin. So the peanut butter would provide the protein, and the English muffin would provide the carbs. Now, nutrient timing becomes especially important when you have a short period of time between your training sessions, like less than 8 hours. So when you need a quick recovery, it's recommended to consume carbohydrates every hour for the first 4 hours after exercise. Doing this with protein will help best replenish those energy stores. And remember, we still want 20 to 30 grams of protein taken all at once to help build and grow our muscles. When you have more time between your exercise sessions, the nutrient timing becomes less important. Your body will most likely be able to replenish your energy stores through normal food consumption. However, you are still able to try and take advantage of that window of opportunity for quick glycogen replenishment, as it will help you feel better after your exercise. Consuming protein is also still beneficial for muscle remodeling as well. Now for our third and final goal, rehydrate. So exercise causes your body temperature to heat up, and your bodily response to this is to regulate it through fluid loss. So you lose water in your sweat and you lose water in your breath. It's important to drink water after you exercise to help replace that lost body water. The best practice for hydration and exercise is to show up hydrated, drink throughout your workout, and replace all lost fluid after. Now remember, by the time you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated, and dehydration can cause fatigue, headaches, dizziness, and more. So the importance of hydration cannot be overestimated. Our second poll question, so true or false, you and your teammates all need to drink the same amount of fluid after your workout. The correct answer is false. So fluid needs vary from person to person and are based on many different factors. So here are some of those factors. So your fluid needs depend on genetics, your temperature outside or in the gym, the clothing you have on, the type of activity you're doing, the duration of your activity, your training status, and so much more. So it really will vary from person to person and situation to situation. There are some general guidelines that you can follow, though, to help meet your needs. So it's estimated to drink 3 cups of water for every pound lost during your exercise. This is because weight loss directly after exercise is related to how much fluid you lost during exercise. So it's important that you drink this water quickly. Your rehydration should be completed within 2 hours of finishing your exercise. This will help prevent any of those negative symptoms I mentioned that are associated with dehydration. So what is a quick recipe that'll help meet these needs? Well, today I'll be going over a teriyaki chicken and veggie bowl. So this recipe is quick, easy, and delicious. It also meets all those post-workout nutrition recommendations. So here are the kitchen tools you will be needing. These are all very common kitchen tools that you most likely already have on hand. We'll be using a knife, so that will give you the opportunity to practice those nice safety tips I talked about at the beginning of the webinar. Poll question. So which of these ingredients include one of Health Canada's priority allergens? The chow mein noodles, the green onions, red cabbage, or cornstarch? And the correct answer is chow mein noodles. So these are made of wheat flour, and wheat was one of those priority allergens. So allergy alert, there are some ingredients in this recipe that are associated with common allergies. This is something to be mindful of and use some safe alternatives if any of these allergies apply to you or someone you'll be cooking for. And here is our video.
Okay, so let's get started. We have our chow mein noodles, some teriyaki sauce, some shredded red cabbage, garlic, green onions, red pepper, cornstarch, chicken breast, some vegetable oil, sesame seeds, and soy sauce. So step one, we're gonna wash the veggies. This will help prevent those food hazards we were talking about, and cleaning is one of our steps in food safety prep. We're gonna wash the green onions as well. Great. Next, we're going to dry with a clean paper towel, get all of the extra water off. Perfect. Now we're going to thinly slice the green onions, and this will give us a chance to practice those nice safety tips I talked about. So as you can see, I'm using a very sharp knife. I'm cutting on a knife-friendly surface, so I'm using a cutting board. Now we're going to do the same to the bell pepper. So we're going to thinly slice that as well. We want to make sure we have even pieces, just like that. Perfect. Now we're going to mince the garlic. So the way I like to mince garlic is you cut evenly one way, and then you're going to turn it and cut the other way. And then I like to go back over it just to make sure everything's nice and small. Next, we're going to pat dry the chicken, and this will help make the chicken more receptive to our spices and to our vegetable oil that we're going to be adding. Perfect. And make sure to always wash your hands after touching raw chicken. So we're going to add some vegetable oil, some salt, pepper, and this is all just to your taste, and some sesame seeds. Now we're going to place that chicken on a baking sheet and place it in our preheated oven for 12 minutes. Set the timer. Perfect. Now we're going to place a large pan over medium to high heat. And once that's hot, we're going to add some vegetable oil because we're going to be frying up our veggies. Great, so we're going to be adding our shredded red cabbage, the bell pepper, and green onion to this frying pan. And we're going to stir so it cooks evenly on all sides. While that's heating, we're going to make our sauce. So we have the soy sauce, we have teriyaki sauce, our garlic that we minced, some cornstarch, and 2 cups of water. Now we're going to add that to our pan with the veggies. And we're going to let that simmer, mix it all in. So we're going to reduce heat, and we're going to cover it so that it simmers and some of the water evaporates, making it a nice thick sauce. Now we're going to bring a large pot of water to a boil and add our chow mein noodles. So you can cook these according to the package. Chow mein noodles are really thin noodles, so they cook very quickly. Mine cooked in like 90 seconds. And we're going to drain those noodles and add it to the veggie mixture. I'm going to stir, making sure the sauce and veggie gets really mixed into those chow mein noodles. Great, and now we're going to take out the chicken, make sure it's at an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, making sure there's no pink. and you can plate it and enjoy.
Okay, so here's some nutrition information on the recipe I just showed. If you think back on our recovery nutrition goals, we want carbohydrates to replace our glycogen energy stores, and we want protein to repair and grow our muscles. So this is providing 73 grams of carbohydrates. So this is an excellent source of carbs. It's also providing 24 grams of protein. So this is within our 20 to 30 grams of protein recommendation. And the protein source of this meal is chicken breast. And one chicken breast provides over 2 grams of leucine. So it's also meeting our leucine recommendations as well. So eating this alongside a large glass of water will help meet those nutrition post-workout goals. So I wanted to provide you with some tips on reading nutrition facts labels so you can look at other meals and be able to assess if they're a good choice after a workout. So there are 4 steps I like to take when reading nutrition facts labels. So step 1, check the serving size. This is important because the serving size they suggest on the package isn't always what you're going to eat. So it's a great way to start to properly understanding the nutrients you'll be getting from this meal. Step 2 is to read the calories. This is to understand the energy that this meal provides. Step 3 is to look at the nutrients provided. As you can see, there are carbs, protein, fiber, iron, and more. And the final step I like to take is to read the percent daily value to understand how this meal is meeting my daily needs. So the general rule of thumb is that 5% or less is a little, and 15% or greater is a great source. So for example, vitamin D at 2%, this is meeting a little bit of my vitamin D needs of the day. Where 110% of vitamin C, this is meeting a lot of my vitamin C needs for the day. I did want to mention some substitution ideas that you can use with this recipe to have it better fit your diet. So something great about this recipe is it can be completely customizable to your preferences. So veggies, you can sub for your favorites or what you have on hand. Protein, you could sub for some vegetarian proteins like tofu or legumes or eggs. Noodles, you could use gluten-free or wheat-free alternatives. You could also use rice or quinoa, some great options there. Really, it's your chance to get creative. So sometimes preparing meals at home can feel challenging and time-consuming, but there are so many benefits to cooking at home, and one of them is saving money. So this whole meal costs $17.88, which is less than $4.50 per serving. And when comparing these to some restaurant equivalents, we see that the teriyaki chicken at Teriyaki Express is $11.49. The chicken chow mein from Mandarin is $9.99. And the teriyaki chicken at 168 Sushi is almost $15. So preparing this meal instead of ordering out is going to be much more budget friendly. So some fun facts: red cabbage is high in vitamin C, fiber, and antioxidants. Garlic is rich in B vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, antioxidants, and more. Sesame seeds contain healthy fats, calcium, and magnesium. So the ingredients in this meal are really contributing to your healthy, balanced diet. So here are some take-home messages I want to leave you with today. So number 1, follow proper kitchen and food safety to practice healthy eating. We also have 3 main goals for our nutrition after exercising. We want to replenish our energy stores, repair and build muscles, and rehydrate. And we can achieve these goals by eating foods rich in carbohydrate, protein, and drinking lots of water. Creating meals at home can be nutritious and cost-effective. So thank you for listening. I really hope you were able to learn something from this webinar and have a fun recipe to use later this week.
Thanks so much, Glenna, for this webinar, and please be sure to look at our Perform webinar page for previous Perform content and upcoming webinars. Thanks so much, and this concludes our session for today.